action.
Are we good?
Okay. Let's try action again.
Action! Just kidding. I will answer that after the break.
Okay, we'll cut down for a moment.
I know.
I was Joe's now.
And not die. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, it's for getting a signal. Hi everybody and welcome to episode 21 of Knights at the Round Table. Today we are just discussing the book Another Fine Myth by Robert Aspirin. It's a story of a young wizard's apprentice who makes pals with a demon and goes on adventures. And that's all I'm going to say about it because I really don't want to give too much away. I'll start with general impressions of the book. Jen, do you want to go first?
I had no expectations going into this. I bought it because the name was a pun, and I thought that was funny. But other than that, I had no idea what it was going to be like at all. And I was like, oh, I have a couple minutes to read. Started reading it. I missed my buzz. And I was like, oh. Yeah, so I couldn't put it down.
I rather enjoyed it. It's I'll say a breezy, quick read. It's engaging, but it's not too deep, too engrossing. That it's I'll say drains you like some of the thicker tomes do sometimes. But it's a quick read and it's pretty fun. Just simply a fun read.
Okay, yeah, I found it. I was actually slightly disappointed with this book, in contrast to everyone else. It's a very quick read, which I appreciate. It was humorous, but I wasn't splitting my sides laughing the way I was in Terry Pratchett.
I didn't laugh like that for Terry Pratchett.
Really? Yeah.
So.
No. Well, yeah. I mean, the puns were amusing, and there were some amusing things that happened, but it seemed. I don't know. I got the image of the author sitting there as he was writing this, going, "Hey, this is so funny." And so, I don't know, I didn't find it as amusing as other books I've read, but it is a fun read, and I do recommend people read it, so.
I think one of the things I liked about it was it kept surprising me. I don't know, maybe I just haven't read as many in this vein.
Yeah.
But I kept being like, are you, what? Really? What? Not expecting stuff to happen, so.
Okay.
I liked it a lot.
That's allowed.
Better be.
I mean, there were some really sort of bits that made me snort a bit.
Gleep.
Yeah. Not quite Gleep, but Oz, when he was introducing himself, he's like, Oz, no relation.
Yeah.
That made me giggle. And also the Blarney Stones made me giggle hysterically. That was one of the really funnier moments, was when the fake stones that are made to look like real gemstones are called Blarney Stones. And I almost laughed. Almost.
Almost laughed.
No, actually I did laugh. It was pretty funny. But that's really all the really funny moments that I can think of.
It's
Anytime Oz talked, really.
Actually, I found him actually kind of annoying. Because every second word was kid. It was like, he was
Not when he was talking to the kid, but when he was talking to other people. So he'd go off on this story that was long and involved and totally full of lies. But that's what he did.
Yeah. I don't know, I found his characterization, he seemed like Indiana Jones, almost. Like the Indiana Jones demon where, everyone younger than him is a kid. And I got on my nerves a little bit.
I thought you did that because his world was so evolved.
Because his what?
His world was so evolved. Like there was the technology and the magic.
Oh, yes.
So of course he's a kid. He's this stupid little clod, right?
Yeah, and Oz is a perv. That cracked me up. He's
a greenhorn.
Perfect. Yeah.
I think it gave a lot of reference in Kid. I didn't necessarily see the Indiana Jones.
Well, that's what came to mind
Yeah.
every time I heard the word kid. Now look here, kid. All right, kid. This is how it's going to be, kid.
I
Stop
just
it.
figured he was treating him as a rookie, which he really was.
Yeah.
He progressed rather quickly throughout the book, which was nice to see. However, I also saw it as there was a being referred to as that. As a kid, you're, whatever, you're lesser than me, that kind of thing. Also gave Steve, the kid,
Nice.
yeah, the apprentice magician, it also gave him motivation to press himself further and to push himself. And also, he did retort back at some points to Oz. And actually, at a couple points in the book, was able to correct him and point out, you realize we should go before he finds out the flaw in your logic. We're talking about this, don't you hear? It's like, well, da. I was like, right. Okay, so moving on now.
Well, yeah, but just the amount that he says something kid made him seem more like a caricature rather than a character. To me, at least.
I didn't really notice.
Oh, I did. I did, and it annoyed me. And I'm sad because there were some generally good moments. Like, is fun isn't playing with a full deck. I think he's been playing with his wand a little too much. That made me laugh. I enjoyed that very much. But yeah, just the character that Oz was. He was a character. He wasn't a character. To me, at least. The other characters were pretty good, except for what's her name?
Tananda?
Yeah.
That's
Tananda.
her, Tananda. She stepped right out of a really bad 80s film.
I didn't feel like she was really there. I felt like it was, there's no girls in this. Girl.
And not just a girl, right? She has to be like a super sexy assassin girl.
Yeah.
Who says stupid things all the time and gives a sly wink to camera every time she does it.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that she progresses in this series and
I hope
more
so.
this series.
Oh yeah, I expect that she will.
I mean, there's 12 books to the series, so somewhere in there she's got to come back.
Have them all.
But this book was made when 78, 82, something like that. I can't remember off the top of
Do you
my
have
head.
the pumpkin date one?
I do. I just have to open it to the right page. 78.
Yeah, 78. So it is.
Predates Indiana Jones.
So maybe Indiana Jones is based off.
Or maybe kid is just what you call people when you
Yeah, but you
have
don't
no
do it-
faith in them.
You do it so much. Like at the beginning of the book,
I assumed he just didn't know his name. Like he'd forgotten it in when we were at the other.
yeah, but even what was the name of the original? You have it. Garkin, the original wizard.
I forgot what his name was.
Yep.
He had more descriptors for Skeeve without using Skeeve's name, like thief, sneak thief, and
Yes,
all
yes.
sorts of. So the more variants
But
would
he
also
also-
nice.
Within the first
better.
2 chapters.
Yeah, but and it's not. It was every time Oz addressed him. I know I'm harping on it, but it really annoyed me. Every time Oz addressed him, it was something kid, something kid, something kid.
Well, now we know that what she doesn't like.
So one of the things I really liked about this is that demon doesn't mean the same thing in this world as it does in our world. It means dimension traveler, which I thought was really cool.
That is really cool. That was very clever.
Or the different names for the dimension. For example, the planet that Steve is from. So what do you call this dimension? Claw.
What does that make me? Claude.
A clog. Yeah.
And the devils are from Deva.
Yeah, Diva. I'm going to assume it's Diva because it's supposed to be a play on Devil. Or maybe Deva. Devil? Devil. Deva.
Deva?
Deva.
Devils from Deva.
See, I was like Devils. That's how I pronounce that. Sorry.
You didn't spike her drink, did you?
There was generally a piece of fabric floating, I swear to God.
Just like in the book.
Again with the character thing, I think Quigley was meant to be amusing, but was less amusing than he could have been.
I think he was amusing in how unamusing he was.
Maybe. Maybe that was the point.
How bland he was.
Yeah.
Was the funny part.
And actually there was something that stood out to me because when you first meet him, I imagine him talking like somebody, like Sir Didymus from Labyrinth. I imagined him talking exactly like that. And then I wrote down the page, on page 50 he says, I don't know. And it seems so out of character that it really leapt out of the page at me. And I'm like, wait, what? That's it. Oh, okay, fair enough.
Clearly you didn't know something.
Yeah, well, no, but if you didn't notice, I would imagine him saying, I know not, or something like that. Because that's how he was speaking in the rest of the book. But then he just goes, no, I don't know.
It makes it feel like his demon hunter is a persona that he puts on, and then that was like
a slip up?
Him actually showing through.
Oh, I don't know. There are a lot of like relatively scary moments where he might have accidentally shown through. I think it was just a slip up on the author's part. I think he forgot which character was speaking which way.
Maybe.
I know, I do that.
I thought you had your characters separated in different compartments in your head.
No, they're all there in one giant mush.
Yeah. The interesting thing I find I enjoy about a number of different books, from Lord of the Rings to say Harry Potter, to even to this one too, is the main aspect, or a good chunk of the point from it, is that your POV, your point of view, is taken from the weaker people. Lord of the Rings, the Hobbits, arguably the weakest races of all of Middle-earth. You know. Well, they have
I honestly thought that was men, where the whole point was that men were the weakest race in Middle-earth. But keep going.
They didn't have any fighting skills, I think.
Right.
Compared to Aragorn, you know, or
he wasn't really a man. He was half elf.
Pretty much. He's one of the Numenor.
Yeah.
Or the elves, or the dwarves. Why wasn't it given to them? Dwarves have myriads of fighters and that kind of stuff. But anyhow, like a lot of the books are taken from a weak aspect and put to a challenge where it's harder than they are at that point in time. And in 2 chapters in, you find out that Az has lost his powers. And now,
that was funny.
And now they have to go from there. And here he's stuck with an apprentice who can barely light a wick of a candle. So you're starting from a weak point, and okay, now we have to defeat this guy that's trying to, you know, conquer things. Great, how's this going to unfold? And then it develops from there. But just the taking that aspect there, by taking away the demon's powers, and so that he can just use flip of the hand magic here and there for whatever he wants. I think that added a bit to Skeeve's character and thrust him rather into more of a bigger role in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the way it was constructed was very good. I think a part of... See, that isn't necessarily true for all the books I read, but I have to say the first-person perspective when I'm reading is not something I particularly enjoy reading. I did this and I did that, and then I went here. It's not really my...
Repetitious?
No, it's just the point of view. I'm not a huge fan of the first-person perspective, generally speaking, in books.
Maybe because you don't like being thrust into their point of view because they do things that you wouldn't do.
Maybe. Although I can't say that I would have acted all that differently than Skeeve in this, if I'm thinking objectively. I probably would have flipped out a lot more.
Yeah.
Honestly. The magician I've been staying with and kind of care a little bit about was just killed by a crossbow bolt. I would be shattered.
Yeah.
I would be running around with my head like a chicken with its head cut off, just screaming and crying, and then there's this ridiculous demon with 2 sets of teeth that is grinning at me from the center of a pentagram. Yeah, I would not be in a good place.
What? It happened yesterday, day before too, right? Come on.
No comment.
Another thing I really like about this is how well he taught the kid.
Yes.
Without any power, like he couldn't show him. He taught him without anything to help, and I was quite amazed
Yes.
by that. Those who cannot do teach.
Quite literally in this case. Exactly. Literally. I didn't think about that. Like that
It came to me when you mentioned the loss of powers, and I was like, oh my
What I
gosh.
like is it's revealed that the loss of powers is like a practical joke powder that you buy. That was pretty good.
It's true.
And it'll only take about a century to wear off.
Yeah, only a century.
Perspective, right? It's all about perspective. What's a lifespan to a fly compared to us? So, I suppose. And the change as well as
lifespan.
Nobody knows. What's the lifespan of your average pervert?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Depends what wing of the prison he goes into.
Oh god.
So. Okay?
Yeah.
Another nice thing I found about this too is I thought he did a good job in the change of perspective of a character, that being Garkin. He's there for the first couple of chapters, and you know he's okay, Steve. Try this, do this. You did great with Heather. Let's go with lighting the candle. Okay, and you know, and you can see the tutelage there, and him working with him. Okay, fine. I understand he's a teacher, and you understand that. And then as you go through the book, all of a sudden this demon who has no powers is teaching Steve end over end of the stuff to do to this and that. And even Steve's like, was anything Garden told me the truth? Was everything he told me a lie? And you really find out that Garkin is kind of an asshole.
My favorite was the agreement that Garfield had with Oz. Was they weren't scary demons, they just summoned each other into each other's world to like perform the scary demon act to try and impress the apprentices. Yeah. That was very well done. Yeah, so we were just discussing in the break that Gleep was really adorable.
The dragon.
Gleep the dragon with big blue eyes and dopey demeanor. I would want a Gleep.
Blue eyes.
They described him as blue eyes.
Just
I didn't pick up on the color.
I like that he behaved like a goat. Yeah, he's just chewing on some guy's sleeve. And his sound is Gleep. Just makes me happy.
As they introduce him further on in the series, in this book in Hell, and again, I'm going to assume that it continues throughout the series. Well, it would be interesting to see how it progresses, the animal.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure
how
he
it
comes
comes
in really
in use.
handy. I'm sure he does. Even though he acts like a
puppy.
yeah, I was gonna say like a Labrador puppy.
That can
I've
breathe
seen
fire.
nothing wrong with it being a puppy.
With the big blue eyes.
I wouldn't mind having a dragon that was like a puppy. Maybe not quite that big.
Defeats them. I don't know. I like a dragon that size, bigger, so I can ride it.
With
Late,
wings.
I'm late for work. Fly me there.
I think that's too big for our house.
I can live on top of the house.
Keep it in the garage.
Aw, we don't have a garage. We have a tiny little shed. That would be very good for you.
The unfortunate thing is Robert Aspirin, he's obviously, as mentioned, it's his 12 books to the series, and he's done a couple other series too. Fortunately, he did die in 2008.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, myocardial infarction.
Heart attack.
Yeah.
I think that's what it said. Myocardial infarction. So anyhow, he's put a number of books out there to be read, obviously. So it'll be interesting to look further into them and
He did get to the end of this, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think that series is done. Is it? You did the research. I didn't. I'm just hosting this thing.
As near as I've read, yes, the series is done. He did go through the series, started another one, and then he's like, oh yeah, I could do this. And so he wrote another book, I think in 2002, and it's like, in this series here, if this is a timeline, this book goes here.
Oh,
And
okay.
he does that.
So very
Intro
A
sequel.
little bit, yeah.
But yeah, so he's got his works there to be read, and just like it should be fun.
Okay. So if you're going to give this book out of 5,
3.5?
3.5.
I definitely want to read more. Like,
You know what? I'm gonna have to settle on a 3. I like thicker books. I like more depth. I like a quick read too, but I like a more solid storyline and more information about the world, more descriptors, more of everything really. And the book was a little too thin on that for me, but it's still fun enough. So
it was
therefore, I'm going to give it
incredibly
a 3.
fun.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Actually, I gave it a 3 as well. For much the same reasons. Also, I found that the resolution to this story was sort of anticlimactic. Like there was building all this tension. I was expecting a massive wizard fight, and it turned out to be like 5 pages of conversation.
I was not expecting a massive wizard fight because Oz was there. He was going to talk their way out of it.
Yeah, I guess. But,
Yes. That's what he does.
Exactly!
yeah.
That was the only time I was not surprised. Although I was surprised in how he did it, but I was still not surprised about that.
About that, okay. Yeah, I was hoping for like fireworks. And I do like much more in depth, and I was humorous but not nearly as funny as other books I've read. So I didn't have any embarrassing situations on public transport where I was giggling out loud and people were staring at me as if I was insane. Which detracted from my enjoyment of the book, let's be honest.
You notice when you giggle out loud? Because I don't.
Oh, yeah. I notice when people go,
I don't. I'm like, book.
well, no, because I always have to take my head out of the book to make sure that I haven't missed my stop. So.
Oh, see, I miss my stop.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I very rarely miss my stop with Stephen Erickson. Alright, so that's all of it. Who wants to pick out the next book? Yay.
Battlefield Earth.
I don't think that's on the list. We should outline.
The Amulet of Samarkand by Jonathan Stroud.
Alright,
We have that too.
I don't have it. May I borrow it? The Amulet of Samarkand will be what we're discussing next fortnight. If you want to join the conversation, leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. I will leave the links down below. Alright,
Absolutely.
bye.
See you.
This episode of Knights of the Round Table was filmed before a live studio audience.